Hey, how's it going, guys? ZDEyE here. So I wanted to talk about this recent conversation regarding Hideo Kojima disagreeing and pretty much calling Death Stranding director's cut. Like, he basically doesn't like that term, at least that title, for his game coming on the PlayStation 5. Now, to be honest with you, after his statement and the reasoning why, it actually totally makes sense why there is, the reason. Okay, so I'm gonna read out exactly, why he mentions this. And anyway, he basically says a director's cut in a movie is an additional edit to a shortened version that was either released reluctantly because the director did not have the right to edit it, or because the running time had to be shortened. In the game, it is not what was cut, but what was additionally produced that was included. And yeah, I personally think I completely understand the reasoning behind that. Now, again, director's cut, a lot of people, whenever you hear this terminology, means that something, like you said, something was cut away or something was not initially planned. Well, it was planned initially, of course, but it was taken away, like I said. It was cut out, okay? So now, understanding this, a director's cut is, in this case, you will be able to see something extra, something bigger in terms of what it wanted to be at first, right? A good example that recently it was Zack Snyder's, director's cut, basically, right, of Justice League. Okay, so it's a completely whole lot of new information, new footages, and yeah, sure, few differences too, of course, makes sense why, but because everything was taken away, everything had to be shortened, like even the tone of the game completely is different now in this way. And I personally think that Hideo Kojima is correct. I personally do believe that. It's the same thing I personally think as well with Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. I don't think the terminology of director's cut is a correct wording for either of these games. Similar goes for Ghost of Tsushima and yes, again, Death Stranding 2. Now, in this case, I personally think it would have been better to actually have some kind of a different name, but it makes sense why Sony or PlayStation have decided to make sure that to call these games having a director's cut implementation, kind of influencing the game that actually now has far more content than initially it did. And this is why a lot of people may be misunderstanding the term of director's cut for the video games, okay? Because they will be thinking it's a movie. It was initially never full product, but now it is a full product, and in fact it's more. Ghost of Tsushima as well, it's not just that it's the director's cut, but also be including a DLC. This is why it costs more money. Like basically for an upgrade, you will have to pay $10 just for the director's cut on a PlayStation 5. You pay $10 extra for the PlayStation 5 version of the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut, but then you pay $20 on top of that because of the DLC. FYI, I wanted to mention that the DLC seems like it's going to be around 20 hours length as well. That's to the completion rate extra. So I personally think it's already worth the money for sure. Now, Death Stranding, with all of the implementations, with all of the additional features, and by the way, I made a whole big video about that and I touched on everything that it will be including. I'm sure there will be some extra things that was purposely not mentioned, again, perhaps for a surprise. But yeah, I've got a video about that. You can check it out for yourself. I will leave down links below in the description, maybe even pin it down in a comment as well. But this is actually makes sense. I completely agree with Hideo Kojima, but also maybe that Sony or PlayStation wanted to make it a little bit more simplistic so people to have a better understanding. Like, how else would you rename a game that's re-releasing for the PlayStation 5 with additional content that was never really or truly in the PlayStation 4 version of the release of Death Stranding as an example, right? So people may say like, okay, you could have like, okay, maybe if not director's cut, let's go with like Death Stranding extended, or Death Stranding enhanced, or Death Stranding expanded. I mean, it makes sense, but also director's cut is a lot more familiar terminology, and this is perhaps why they decided to go with this title. It was never Hideo Kojima's call to be naming his game as a director's cut. Of course, Death Stranding, that is his, idea of a name. Maybe they even made it up and brainstorming and figuring out names such as Ghost of Tsushima, then Death Stranding, and of course, Director's Cut is a different story completely. Well, that's just my opinion, guys, and of course, Hideo Kojima, his opinion too. Tell me down in the comments, what do you think about this, the title of Director's Cut? Do you agree with it? Do you not? Is there a big deal? Is it no big deal? Personally, for me, I never was even again, this is my opinion, okay? In my terminology, for a video game that have right, there's only 2 so far that I noticed with the title of Director's Cut, Ghost of Tsushima and also including Death Stranding. It was never initially, right? Because I played these games on day 1 since their release on PlayStation 4, I already knew that they're full games, okay? And I already knew that the developers, maybe they had these ideas and plans already down the pipeline, but they were just simply no time or no, they wanted to release it on that particular time period. And so I already know that Director's Cut for a video game does not mean that the stuff have to be shortened or there was not enough time to be implementing or putting in new features into the video game, right? And so now, because it's getting re-released for the PlayStation 5 version of the game, or again for Ghost of Tsushima, it's just PlayStation 4 version as well, it makes sense, right? Maybe to me it does anyway, having a name Director's Cut, because it's well known. It also implies there's gonna be something extra towards this game as well, and that's perhaps the aim was originally. But that's it. Alright, thank you so much for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day, and yeah, have a good one.